So here's the funny part about mics. Okay, mics are intended for really two things: to try out new material, and then also to meet people, right? And to meet people that might be your comedy friends for like forever, right? And so I love going to mics. I do, right? Um, but what I've started to learn is that yeah, don't stop going. But if you're having like a writer's block, right, that's a good sign because it means that you need to go down to go up again. Like our graph of how we get better as comics is that it's like this, right? And it keeps on going up like this. So even though now I'm doing shows and I'm like trying to do that stuff, I actually get around. I do mics. A lot of the time I try to pick certain mics that I go to. And the truth is that there are so many comedians in New York, right? And there's the group of people, which I like to call the COVID comics, right? So we came in during the COVID comics where these are the motherfuckers that don't stop. These are the motherfuckers that they will literally, like, they've proven that they will literally die still doing stand-up, right? Yeah. So it's cool to see that because as we grew again and everyone else started coming in back into the mix, that you start to meet all these other comics that are like, oh, but I know this guy. Oh no, this motherfucker is serious about this because I saw him through the trenches. Mm-hmm. And so how I divvy it up is that now, like I produce my own show, all in comedy, right? I do it like monthly now. We're trying. The first show was a great success, and it's a weird hood / Jewish room. You should do it sometime. I'll hit you up. And straight up, right? It's crazy because you see the work it takes to go into producing a show, and then getting up. Mm-hmm. But like going to mics is truly important because it really depends on the mics you go to, right? Like that's why I think, like, for me, the value you get from, let's say, going to like 2 or 3 mics versus going to 6 different mics, right? Like if you're not doing shows and you have mics, you have to go to mics, period, end of story, right? But I realize that if you're going to certain mics that are actually beneficial, then it's good. But if you're going to mics, a lot of mics in New York City is a lot of comics, and what happens is that a lot of comics are friends with other comics, so there's just a lot of like misinformation being presented when someone's presenting their material, which makes me feel uncomfortable, right? Like I don't want to go up. Like I'd rather dead silence, or I'd rather you be like boo than just like a fake laugh, Yeah. So because then you can steer yourself down the wrong path. Yeah. So it's important to, when you go to a mic, you pick a mic that is actually, you see there's a real value to it, not just like, oh, for your material, not just like, oh, I'm just going to throw some shit on the board just to get it all around. Like it should be like, oh, you go to this mic and everyone in the room is like, holy shit, when did you get so funny? It's like, oh no, I've been working hard. It's just that now you're going to start noticing because you've been working the incorrect way, right? Or a different way than me, but like in my perception, I might think it's incorrect. And again, you see, this is the ethereal conversation in comedy. So like for example, I was actually at what was it? St. Mark's, right? I was doing their mic over there, and it's funny because they see me, and comics hasn't seen me for a while, and I'm hitting a new strata of comedy now that I'm like, oh shit, this is who I'm supposed to be. So I'm like just trying to beat at it, right? And I do my set, and it's completely new, written jokes or whatever, and it works 100%. But the reason why it works is because I'm starting to understand, like, oh, the importance of going to a mic that is good and then having material prepared, because people just go and they try out stuff and they might find new things. And I get that. That's their motive stuff. But freaking Sebastian Maniscalco in his book, he literally didn't talk to anyone, didn't fuck with nobody. He literally would go to like, he'd go to a mic. He would go to a mic, like one mic in like the store, but make it like such a presentation, right? And he would just do that. Didn't talk to anyone. Hell, he started doing comedy because he met Bill Burr randomly in an apartment, and like Bill was saying, hey, you want to do like this is pretty cool. He's just like, all right, whatever. And he just did that. But the idea was that even Justin like does this. It's like when you go to a mic, you want to sit down and have like prepared material. And I think a lot of people make that mistake of like, they just go up and they're like, oh, willy dally, dilly dally. It's like, no, you want to have material where you're like, this is a set that I'm working on, a new piece. And it's like, these are the little facets that I want to change. And if it doesn't hit, it doesn't hit. But that's why it's important to find those good mics. So maybe in the beginning, you're supposed to go to like a shit ton of mics to get the vibe of each one. But at the end of the day, if you start carving out the mics that are not just catering to you, but like, this mic will be fair, that provides more value in a week than going to 16 different mics where it's just like people are not even doing anything. And a lot of people will disagree with me on this, but I'm just seeing the value from it.